Hey, welcome back to Lone Wolf Custom Painting. It's a Q&A. This will probably be up tomorrow. And this is like from the last 2 weeks where some questions. We were down in Tampa playing in the Senior Worlds for softball, so we were a little bit removed. So first thing that was brought up was the question about gloves. And I find no use for them when it comes to building. It was brought up about oil on the hands after the body's been washed and everything, but if you remember correctly, I set the sequence of how it goes. Naturally, your hands are going to be washed off with the Dawn dish detergent, which would remove all oil anyways. Now, to bring up another point about gloves too, let me ask you a question. You get super glue on your hand, what's the first thing you do? Wipe it off, you feel it. You get that on your cotton gloves, you're not going to feel it. In the first place it's going to go, Murphy says, it's going to go on here. Like I said, that's just my opinion, and I've seen it and or heard of it too many times where guys were complaining like, oh man, I got the glue on my cotton glove and I didn't feel it, and I picked up the body, and so you're making more work for yourself. You don't have to worry about oil transferring from your hands. As I said, you wash your hands the same time you're washing the body, and that takes all the oils off your hands, and you're copacetic. Okay, another gentleman asked the question about yellowing decals. Aside from finding another set, one thing that you can do, find a windowsill that sees a lot of sun, and you can set the decal sheet on that windowsill in the sun. A lot of times that'll pull the yellow out of it. What I will do, there are some individuals that I know, a couple of my buddies, I'll have to check and see, what their schedules look like as to whether or not they want to take on the extra work. But they were reproducing a lot of the decals that AMT and Revell put out back in the day. And I've used them, and they're an excellent product. Okay, let's see. Someone asked about a 3D printed body. I have not played with them whatsoever. I do have some of the 3D parts. I find that they're a little fragile. You sand to get them cleaned up, and you have to take your time and be very, very meticulous and gentle with it, because they are a little bit more fragile than what the plastic would be. I imagine that it would be no different. It'd be like a combination between a resin and some of this new age plastic. It's just like everything else. You're going to have to experiment with it. Let me see here. Individual asked a question about wet sanding, dry sanding, and what I do and the steps. The body, when I'm doing the basic prep, is dry sanded. I'll start with the 220, 320, wherever I have to start, and then I will get it up to 1500, and then I will take it from 3200 up to 12,000. That's wet sanded. So before 1500 or 1500 and below, it's dry sand. Wet sand, it's 3200 to 12,000. A little bit of Dawn dish detergent in the water, you're copacetic. Okay, ghost lines. Like with a hood, say your AMT kits where you have a cutoff or a cutout to allow a blower scoop or a dual quad setup to come up through the hood. The best thing to do a lot of times is, if you have that situation and you are not going to cut it out, just simply tape it off and shoot it with semi-gloss black. A lot of times that black, when you get it up into those lines, it blocks off the light, because the plastic is thinner, because you have to trace it out to cut the hood out, and then when you shoot the black in there, it fills it in and it allows it to darken up, and it's copacetic with the rest of the hood. Same way with the body. Some of the kits, like I think the young man mentioned it was the 39 Chevy sedan delivery because it had a skylight that you could cut out and install. Shoot the inside of the body. Again, get that up in there. It doesn't have to be black. It could be just much any color. What you want to do, you want to knock that thinness down and fill it in with the paint. You'll be copacetic with that. Chrome headlights. Back in the day, a lot of the AMT kits, you had chrome headlights. What I've found, you can drill them out and use the back end of a pen, the end of a pen, without naturally the clip on it. You can cut it, glue that back in there, paint the inside of it silver, and then put a regular headlight bezel in. Or what you can do too is you can just take a regular standard headlight bezel and just, take a little bit of white glue or clear top coat, whatever your choice is, and you can glue that headlight right in over top of it. It looks the way it's supposed to, let's put it that way. Okay, someone asked a question about using Rust-Oleum on die cast. I wouldn't use Rust-Oleum on anything but porch furniture. Again, that's my opinion, and there's people that are still raising hell about that video I did a year or two ago about it. My opinion hasn't changed. My stance on it hasn't changed. It's for patio furniture. You're still going to get the heavy orange peel, the thickness of the paint, especially if you're doing small die-cast cars. Your best bet, go with the Tamiya spray cans and or use the airbrush. Use either Tamiya, the MCW finishes, and or the Testors paints. The quarter-ounce bottles are still available, in most well-stocked hobby shops. Okay. Young man sent me a little side note. He said, these guys that are having problems with the Molotow pens, he said, soak the tips in acetone for about a half an hour. He said it'll clear them all out. Once again, it's not my cup of tea. They do have their uses, touching up door handles and window cranks and whatever, touching up on bumpers and stuff like that. But overall, I'm not going to use it to do my chrome. I'm still going to go with the bare metal foil. Shout out to Yanni Russo. For those of you that are into the foreign cars, or as we refer to them, rocket bunnies, the Matt Israeli is doing a bang out job. I couldn't be prouder of him. He bought the DVDs several years ago, absorbed it all in, and it's just my knowledge and it's his talent, and this kid is just knocking it dead. And if you are into the foreign cars and or rocket bunnies, go check him out. He's on Facebook, and he's got his own channel on YouTube, and it's well worth the look. He is a very, very, very talented young man. Okay, Wayne's World of Modeling. He puts up, he says, well, I don't agree with everything he says. 90% of what he does is old school. He still uses a single action airbrush. He uses enamel paints. Bubba, I'm not going to argue with you about it. I appreciate the comments, but you don't fix what ain't broke. I used a Badger 150 for decades in the train world, and I understand what you were saying about the touch. And you do need that. You got a $400 wrapped up in a building, and you're trying to weather and everything else like that, you do need the dual action. But for painting car bodies, I don't know, I find it mere child's play compared to what I used to do with the train buildings. And like I said, to each their own. But I do appreciate the kind comments. And yes, I am old school. Wisdom highlights, buddy. It's all good. Oh, let me see. This was brought up, and it's a reoccurring thing. Fear. I painted this body. I got it the way I want it, but I'm afraid to put clear on it, and I want to make it jump. You got to take the plunge. Worst you can do is screw up. Worst you can do is screw it up. If you applied the paint the proper way, you apply the clear the same way, you're in hose. Fear has two definitions: face everything and rise, or fear everything and run. And you're going to make mistakes. You have to make mistakes to improve as a modeler. You just have to. You're not going to learn just by winning every time. You got to get your ass knocked in the dirt, pick yourself back up, dust your pants off, put the dukes back up, and go back at it. It's the best thing that you can do. And, you know, with the rising costs of everything, I understand about the cost of paint and everything else like that. But if you truly want your car to look realistic and you're shooting to go up, as I said in last week's video, you're going plateaus, you're going to have to fail to learn. It's just part of the program. It's just part of the process. And you get knocked on your butt, you get back up, go back after it. Pay attention to what you did wrong. Sometimes where you screw up on one thing, it might benefit you in another. Okay, now, the last thing. The clowns. We had two show up again, and naturally they're romping through, making rude, crude, and socially unacceptable comments. And some of you took the step up to defend, and I greatly appreciate it. But please understand something. Mark Twain once said that you never, ever, ever argue with a stupid individual, because they will drag you down to their level and beat you to death with experience. A buddy of mine that I grew up with, we've been friends for 52 years. And he was in the shop last week, and he said, hey, he said, I got a question to ask of you. He said, it's not like you to take laying down. He said, you know, he said, why didn't you pull those comments? And I said to him, I said, what did Mama Gump tell Forrest? And he cocked his head and he thought for a second, as stupid is as stupid does. And I said, exactly. I said, they showed their true colors. I said, I leave it up there. I said, that way everybody knows. So, I hope I answered all the questions thus far. I'm very pleased with the way that the Fundamental Friday is being taken in. We've had a lot of great comments, and I'm glad it's helping out. We will continue to do so. I think the last time I looked, there's a minimum of 15 more that we already shot, and there's more to come. Some of you have asked some questions, and there will be videos on the questions that you asked, types of glues that we use, types of sandpaper and everything else like that. We're trying to cover this all. You just got to have to be a little patient. I did talk to James Pardini today, and we went out and hung out with him. He got some more of my retirement fund. But if you're looking for kits and everything else like that, you can find him on Facebook. I believe, Jake, 7 pages. And he's a great guy to deal with. And he always has kits. He always has parts. You guys need to check him out. So, without further ado, I think we covered it all. Let me see. Tomorrow's Thursday, so this will show up then with the Q&A. And Friday, it'll be another Fundamental Friday. So, until we see each other again, God bless. Have a great week. Be safe. From Jake and I and the Blonde from Lone Wolf Custom Painting, y'all take care of yourselves. Enjoy your weekend. We're out.